Hey YouTubers, and welcome to another episode here on ESGNet of ESGNet presents Sports Gamers Podcast Soapbox Talk. This is episode 15, and we are going to be talking about a lot of things this week here on the show. Talking about what's going on in Major League Baseball. We just recently got done with trades, and not too many big moves this trade season here in Major League Baseball. There's only a few trades, and we got a little bit of the lowdown of who went where. We'll talk about really only one trade that really kind of stuck out to me. Also in the news, Russell Westbrook on the move from OKC. We'll talk about that, see where he's going to go, see if he's going to stay in Oklahoma City, or is he going to do the thing like with most NBA stars nowadays, team it up with someone and become a super team. We'll see where he's going to go off to, and we'll see him in November. Also, the NFL Hall of Fame was this weekend as the 2016 Hall of Fame inductees were inducted into the Hall of Fame. You got some guys like Brett Favre, Kevin Greene, Orlando Pace, and Tony Dungy. Name a few there who all were inducted into the Hall of Fame. Also talk about the Hall of Fame game, how that went down. Not to mention talk about going back to MLB. We have Mark Teixeira, who made some big news over this past week, talking about his future in Major League Baseball, along with Alex Rodriguez. Yeah, he's in the news. He's talking about what he is going to be doing here in Major League Baseball when he decides to cut it loose. Also, we got a little bit of news of some college football and some big news here. What's going on in college football? Nick Saban's in the news, and he's a little hot water right now with a parent of a player. We'll just get into that here in just a bit. And also, of course, as always, the Olympics were this past Friday night. The opening ceremonies kicked off the Olympics, and there's actually a couple of Olympic things going on already. Actually, beforehand here this past week, I think it started on Tuesday or Wednesday. Had some soccer games that were in going on. I believe the United States beat New Zealand in their first game. The women, I should say, the women's national team won. And also, we'll talk about what's been going on in Brazil when it comes to the bad water. Yeah, bad water, and yeah, still in the news. Bad things are still going on in the Olympics as we are in the middle of that right now. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the news right now. Let's get to the start with the show, and let's kick off with some news about the Olympics. Let's go ahead and do it right now. So, as you know, the Olympics kicked off this past Friday night there in Rio. And, of course, the biggest news of, been going down there is about the water. The local water supply there, some of the beaches there had a lot of fecal matter, meaning poo. To say trying to be at least somewhat decent here on the show. And there's been a lot of news about this. Now, it was said, according to ABCnews.com, it said that there was 40 times the, fecal matter that was in this water near this really nice resort area there in Rio, in one of the bays. And they did 3 tests. They tested there in Rio at a local laboratory, also in, I believe, a laboratory in California, and they also did a test, took that same water from Rio, and I believe they tested in New York, and all 3 places showed the same amount, or not, if not higher, concentrations of fecal matter, and plus other things that are harmful to human beings, especially if you ingest this. And they're using this water, this bay area for the rowing competitions. I believe some of the decathlon competitions. And this is a serious issue because if you can ingest this is going to be giving you a lot of problems. Not just your digestive system, but your respiratory system, and even some neurological issues. And this is really becoming a concern for a lot of people A lot of scientists and a lot of health officials. I know the World Health Organization. They're down there. They've been helping out cleaning up the bay. Seriously, right now as I'm talking right now, there are organizations down there that are trying to help the country of Brazil and the city of Rio to clean this up as we speak. Yes, as we speak, they are trying to get things going for this Olympics. Now, as you know, like I said, the Olympics started on Friday. A great night for the Olympics there. Of course, for the U.S., Michael Phelps was the flag bearer as he held the flag going into the arena there. And it was a great, great spectacular show. Showing the Parade of Nations coming in. And I recently just watched a documentary about the Olympics, particularly about the 1936 Olympics. Of course, was held in Berlin, Germany. This was the height of the start of the World War II. Nazi Germany was hosting the games. And they were talking about the controversy. There's been so much. I mean, you think of all the Olympic games that we've had, and I'm talking about the modern day Olympics, stemming back from the early 1900s. There's always been some kind of fiasco going on, some kind of issue with a country of, at that time it was because of how they were treating Jews and the poor, and so many other things that were going on in that country. That there's always some kind of backlash, some kind of controversy when it comes to the Olympic Games, and it almost made me kind of wonder. It's like, okay, the games are supposed to be about uniting the world, uniting the world and putting the world's nations together at one single place, for 2 weeks, and being in a healthy competition. Now, if besides what's going on there in Rio, there with the water, the living facilities, we talked about this last week. Some of the living facilities there are not up to code that you would think they would have for these Olympic stars. There's been a lot of controversy of some athletes not wanting to play at the games because of not just of the conditions in the water, but also the Zika virus that's being spread around because of mosquitoes. But there's also been news about countries getting in trouble. And recently we talked about this, 2 weeks ago, that the Russians, a lot of the Russians, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that their whole team is not going to be there. But the Russians are not going to are either not going to show up or not going to bring certain athletes for the games because they were being caught with steroids. And I'm like, why? This is supposed to be, your semi-pro or pro athletes, or even your amateur athletes that are on a higher scale, higher, the traditional games, swimming, jousting, all that kind of stuff that we've seen in years past. These are supposed to be the best of your country, and how could they be the best of the best if they are using steroids? I'm getting off contract here, but the documentary was a really great documentary talking about the Olympic Games. How it's a great idea, it's a great thing, and I love it. I enjoy watching them. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch the opening ceremonies. One, because I forgot about it, and two, I went to go see Suicide Squad, the movie, this past weekend. I was really wanting to see it, and I went out with a couple of friends, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go see it. I was gonna wait, but I went ahead and go see it. But this documentary I watched on Saturday night, it was a really good documentary about the Olympics and whatnot, and there's always some kind of controversy going on, and unfortunately Rio, I think this is probably the worst of them all that's going on right now. So hopefully we'll be able. Hopefully the games will be a success. And again, like I said, it's terrible to see that that if this if after everything is said and done, that might be the biggest thing that's going to hurt them the most is the water and the living conditions down there. So, and they had what 4 years since the last Olympic Games to get it fixed. That was back in 2012 when they had the games there in London. So I don't know. So hopefully, they'll get their stuff together, and I'm hoping that this will bring this. I haven't heard. There's been no bad reports about anything when it comes to tourists or anything like that. But hopefully things will get better for the city of Rio and then the country in Brazil. All right, let's go ahead and get into some NFL news. If you've got a chance to see the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies over the weekend, you seen some pretty good NFL players and coaches go into the Hall of Fame. The 2016 Hall of Fame class there for the NFL there in Canton, Ohio. Great time. That's one of the places I would love to go. At some point in my life, I would like to go there to Canton, Ohio, and see the Football Hall of Fame. But, of course, for me, I'm a baseball fan, so going to Cooperstown is going to be my deal. But, yeah, the 2016 Hall of Fame class were Kevin Greene, Marvin Harrison, former Colt, so one of my favorite guys that I grew up watching, Orlando Pace, Tony Dungy, great coach there for Indy, who got Super Bowl there a couple years ago. Of course, now an analyst for NBC Sports. But not to mention the biggest name of them all, and that is Brett Favre. Yeah, Brett Favre. Brett Favre was the guy that everyone was wanting to hear and see, and now he is finally enshrined into the 2016 Hall of Fame class. So congratulations to them. I think there was a couple others that were in there, but these were the big names that were going to be inducted in there. Of course, you had the guys like Peyton Manning there. I believe Aaron Rodgers was there to support, and I think they even helped them get inducted to the Hall of Fame, making great speeches about their friends and coaches and stuff like that. It was a great. I seen some bits and pieces of it, but it was a great time. Some really good speeches there, and and this is actually a really good class. I mean, honestly, I've never heard. Well, of course, for the most part, all of them had great, successful careers. There was not much controversy, with the exception of Brett Favre and the whole, texting his junk and all that kind of stuff thing. Which people realize that was not that far long ago. That was probably, I would say, almost like 5 years ago or so it happened. And the whole fiasco with him and the Packers, trying to get him to retire early, even though he didn't want to retire. And, of course, he went to the Jets. And then from the Jets, he went to, Minnesota, which just, to me, I thought it was a perfect way of just his, wrapping up his career playing against the, one of the NFC North teams and giving the Packers, a tough time there. How can you force a guy into retirement when he's not ready to retire? I mean, it's different that you want to see a guy that, he's playing bad and you're thinking like, okay, man, this guy should retire. But ultimately, and I think I said this before in past shows, ultimately it's the person that's playing that sport. It's their time to say, hey, it's time for me to quit. Especially if teams are not if he becomes a free agent and teams are not calling him up, that's when hey, maybe my time, maybe I am done. Maybe my time is up and I need to move on. And there were still people that was wanting Brett Favre to play, and he was still wanting to play. And there was teams that were going after him, wanting him to play. And I think what it was just the fact that the Packers knew that if he didn't get re-signed with them, he was going to go somewhere else. And there was a long list of teams, and on that long list, there was 3 other teams in that division that wanted him: the Lions, Bears, and the Vikings. And if they had the money, they would have went hell and beyond to get him there in Chicago, or Detroit or Minnesota or whatever. And they would have had him, and then we would have had a big thing. But Packers like, okay, you're gonna stay, you want to still play? We got the rights of you still. We're gonna trade you, and we're gonna trade you somewhere. We're gonna trade you to the AFC, and we'll put you in New York. And of course, that whole texting his junk and all that kind of stuff all happened and everything. So, but it was a great, like I said, it was a great moment there. Great time watching those guys talk about their careers and what they've done. So congratulations to all of them, and I wish the best to them in their lives. Of course, Brett Favre, I think he has his own website or something, but he does like a podcast where he talks about what's going on in the NFL, because he knows, he's still in, with it and whatnot. And it's actually a pretty good podcast if you guys get a chance to listen to it. He has different people come on there, people that are playing in the NFL now, and then of course former teammates or other people he's played against or with, and they're on there talking about what's going on, what from their point of view about the NFL today and whatnot. So it's a really good podcast. If you get a chance to check it out. I think you can find it on iTunes or Spotify on there. So let's go ahead and get into go into the Major League Baseball. Now this, of course, today. Well, I don't know what day this podcast is going to go up, because I am going to be busy all weekend long, and this is about the only time I have like maybe 2 hours or so to myself this weekend before I have to go off and do something else, hang out with friends or going to work or whatever. So I don't know exactly when this is coming out, but there is some news over in Major League Baseball. It's been mentioned. But Mark Teixeira this past week made an announcement that he will be leaving Major League Baseball after this season. Yes, he's going to officially retire, and he says he doesn't want to make a big deal about it. It's reported, of course, through MLB.com that he did an interview recently here, and they were asking about his time playing in Major League Baseball and his career and everything, and the way he was talking about it was like, it sounds like you already made your decision. You already know when you're going to retire. And he did make an official announcement through Yankees, through their the Yes Network. There is the Yankees baseball network, and said yes, that he was going to retire from Major League Baseball after this season. After of course, right now the Yankees are not in the position right now for the playoffs or anything. They're just, I believe they're like fourth in the division, third or fourth in the division right now, and he's in the interview, at least from what I'm getting from the interview and whatnot. It seems like he's made enough money, he feels comfortable, and it's just his time to go. He wants to pursue other things. So, and I honestly, Mark Teixeira, I've never been a huge fan of his. Not because he's a Yankee, but just because he was playing for different teams, and there were so many people at that time when he was starting off that I was focusing on and whatnot. But looking at his numbers and stuff, he has some Hall of Fame numbers there, and it's justifiable for him to, here in the next 5 years be, enshrined into the Hall of Fame there in Cooperstown. And I do wish the best for him. I don't know, from past videos or whatever I've done here on the channel, I always give crap about Yankees players and stuff like that. And there's a handful of guys that I truly respect. One of them, of course, being, current, especially current Yankees. Past Yankees, yes, I respect those guys. They've done great things. I'm talking about Yankees players from, back in the day, from baseball, Major League Baseball being a popular thing, being of the masses. Your players from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, and even into the 80s. But the ones from the 90s that I grew up with and stuff like that, I respect them because they play the game. But at the same time, I'm like, I hate you guys. I don't like, because I grew up watching those guys win championship after championship after championship, and it's just like, I hate you, like, go away. And that, yes, that includes Jeter and stuff like that. But Jeter, he's one of those guys that I think all young people out there, if you're playing baseball, that's a career that you need to mimic. You need to that's a person you need. I definitely need to go talk to about it, or talk to him about it and how he was so successful in his career. Because you really didn't you did not hear negative things about him. You never caught, he's never been caught in any scandal, any kind of controversy or anything like that. And he played the game. I mean, he came out there and played every day. With a few times, maybe taking a day off or two, which is fine. That's all. You can't play every single day. But he was always really respectful for the game itself, and I can't deny that from him. He's one of those really good players that I really admired, even though he was wearing pinstripes. He was wearing Yankee pinstripes, but I respected him and really somewhat idolized him and whatnot. And, of course, I know one of my friends right now who's probably listening to this podcast right now is probably saying, yeah, because you got his cologne. Okay, my mother got me the cologne. And, I told her, I was like, why did you buy this? Like, I am not going to wear this. And I think I only wore it maybe once. Actually twice maybe. Because at the time I had a girlfriend. She liked it. It was a really good fragrant, smell of a cologne. And she wanted me to wear it, so I only wore it twice. And after that, I got rid of the bottle. I was like, I can't wear this. This is from Derek Jeter. This is he's Yankees. I can't wear this crap. So, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it's sad to see a guy like him go. Because I really think he probably had another year or two put to play, but he's calling quits after this year. So, big ups to Mark Teixeira in his career, and we only wish the best for him. Moving on to that, every year during this time in the late July, early August, we always talk about trades and the rumors and what's going on. And of course, there was not many big blockbuster trades this year, and I don't understand why. I think a lot of teams are saying, we got what we have, let's go with it. There's actually some pretty tight races in a lot of divisions right now. I wish I had my other computer up. I would see what the standings are right now. But there's only a few trades that I believe that were just kind of like, wow, like, okay, that makes some kind of sense. I know one of them. I believe it's the here it is. I'm looking on my screen now. The Yankees trade Andrew Miller. Now the Yankees, of course, are having sound like they're having a fire sale when they're trading off a lot of some of their current talent they've got here in the last couple of years, and now decided, okay, now we're gonna cash in. And like I said, the Yankees are not in a good position right now to play postseason baseball, so why not trade off some guys to get some prospects or possibly get cash back, so you can use those those prospects or cash for guys you can get during the off season or build in within your farm system. And honestly, the last couple of years here for the Yankees, and this is from my point of view, the Yankees farm system has not been so great. You have not heard the talent that they've had coming up. I want to say when Jeter was playing, the first 2 or 3 seasons, maybe even 4 seasons into his career, they had a great farm system. You had guys that were coming through there that they built from the ground up. But then also too, they use the free agency system. They go out and, if you have the cash, which they do. I mentioned it was a couple of weeks ago that how much money they're worth, from their, their worth is. They have cash. They can go out and buy guys, and of course the old joke, Yankees can go out and buy championships. It's true. I mean, even to this day, even though right now they're in a slump right now, as a team, they can still buy championships. They're always going to be on the radar of being one of those teams that can do something. But they traded Andrew Miller to the Indians for prospects. The other big one that was kind of got me thinking was the Braves acquired Matt Kemp, who was course, a former Dodger, started his career in the Dodgers, and then a couple years ago, he was traded to, or free agency wise, he was picked up by the Padres, and now he's been traded to Atlanta. And I learned that's his hometown. He's from Atlanta, so he's going back home. He's going to play in front of the Braves fans, which is a great job for the Braves because they have a new stadium coming up next season that they'll be able to play in. And I think that's so great. The Sun Life Stadium, I believe it's like it's on the northwest end of town or there in Atlanta. It's a little outside. It's going to be outside the city limits, but anyway, it's going to be still considered the Atlanta Braves. But yeah, that's a great way of introducing a hometown guy to really get that ball club and really get that stadium going and stuff like that. It's a beautiful. What I've seen the model of it last November when I went to Atlanta to go. For my birthday. I went there I went to go to a Falcons Colts game, and I went there for the WWE Survivor Series pay-per-view. I went to Turner Field there, and it's a beautiful stadium. I can't believe it. Like, this is the place where the '96 Olympics were. Like, this is crazy. But yeah, I think it's such a great job, and I think that was a really good move for the Braves to do that. And I wish Matt Kemp the best. He's one of those guys that I really look up to. He has a really good. If you ever follow him on Facebook, he has some really good quotes, some really inspirational quotes on there. You guys definitely got to check that out. I don't have a link to it or anything, but you can definitely find him on Facebook and Twitter. He's really uplifting type of guy, just because he has a strong faith in Christianity and whatnot, but he just listening to him in interviews and stuff like that. He's just such a great guy that someone positive in your life you want to be around with, and he's just got a great attitude about approaching baseball and just how to approach life. And he's such a good guy. Let's go ahead. The White Sox trade Zach Duke to the Cardinals for Charlie Tinson. I'll leave some of these. I'm not going to read all of these, but I'll leave some of these down below, some of the trades there. And I'll say that, or I'll leave a link down below. But yeah, there's just some players there. The other trade that the Yankees made was outfielder Carlos Beltran. He was traded to the Rangers for cash for a right-handed pitcher, Dylan Tate, Eric Swanson, and Nick Greene. Yankees right-hander Ivan Nova to the Pirates for 2 players to be named, and active right-hand pitcher Tyler Clippard. So Pirates will get Nova, and the Yankees will get 2 players and the right-hander Clippard there in that trade. Other than that, that was about it. The other one, I guess you could say, was a kind of a shocker, and I wasn't really expecting this, but Jay Bruce of the Reds traded to the Mets for 2 players there in that trade. And again, like I said, I'll leave some of these down below in the description of who got traded, but I'll also leave a link to the website where you can see the whole transaction. From I think what was it, 26 or something like that of July up to the trade deadline, and you guys can see all those on there, so you guys can check those out. But yeah, I mean, years past there's always some big blockbuster trade, or someone, there's a big shift in Major League Baseball, but it seemed like this year there was not much noise about it, and I don't know. I think that's gonna make it To me, I think I want to say there was one other time that we had something like this, and it kind of affected the way how the postseason played out, and just made the postseason even more, more bigger and more grand. And I want to say it was a couple of years ago. I can't remember what season it was, but I know we had a season that was like something like this, and it was just like, wow, like this is kind of people are not going out and spending money; they're actually using the talent they have. and especially using that farm system and bringing those guys up and making September call-ups and stuff like that. And those guys are, those September call-ups, doing a good job of taking advantage of that, the opportunities they get to be a part of that ball club. So hopefully we'll see that this offseason. All right, let's go ahead and go into the NBA and hit the hardcore now. We'll check out and see. We got some news here about Russell Westbrook. He recently just, according to the New York Times, Westbrook has re-signed with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, it's unknown how much the deal is. I believe I have another link down there that to a website where you guys can see actually how much he's getting paid. But Oklahoma fans of the Thunder, don't fear. He's staying there. He's got a deal, but I believe it's a 2-year deal with a player option for him. And so that means, depending on, again, as a safety net for him, if the season doesn't go the way he thinks it would he would like to go, the ideal season, then he can take an extra strategy and leave. Also, that also opens the door up to, again, like I said I think it was last week's episode or the week before, this opens up the door to, if Durant doesn't do well or doesn't feel comfortable in Golden State, that opens the door. Now he can decide, okay, he can talk to Durant, hey man, you want to come back to Oklahoma City? Do you want to, we can team up again and this time really push at it, go for it. Possibly even get a chance to get someone else in there to help him out if Durant does come back to the Thunder, which I have a strong belief that that's what's going to happen. That he's using that as a bargaining chip, saying, "Hey, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to see how this works out here, but I'm going to leave the door open, to let you. The idea is sign a 2-year contract with a player option of he can opt out if something doesn't go right. Oklahoma City can come back and say, hey, okay, we'll bring you back, and then to avoid you, to get you to sign, re-sign with us, we're gonna go out and go get, player A, B, and C, to help you out with contributing to the team. And I really think that I honestly think that's what the case is going to be. I really think that Westbrook and Durant will team up again, and it probably will be in Oklahoma City. So, Oklahoma City fans, if you're out there listening, it's going to happen. They're going to re-team up, and I think we'll see the Thunder back again in the postseason. A weird way of trying to get a team reassembled and all that kind of stuff. But hey, we've seen weirder things in sports, especially in the NBA. So you never know. I mean, LeBron came back, and he came back, to the city with open arms, and look what happened there. They got a championship. After second season in, when he came back that season, they were in the playoffs but didn't make it to. They didn't win a championship. They were in the finals. But now this past season, went back to the finals and won it all. So. See, things can happen. You gotta believe. So yeah, that's what's going on in the NBA right now. That's about the only talk. But there's a link down below in the description. You guys check that out. Read about that article. All right, now my Soapbox of the week. Here we'll get to that here in just a bit. Before we get to that, let's get into some pro wrestling news. WWE and 2K Sports just released the roster, well, at least part of the roster, of the WWE 2K17 roster. Now, IGN.com this is their second or third year doing this or whatever. They've released some of the superstars that are going to be in the game. Each Tuesday, they're going to announce, I think, up to 10 to 15 superstars who are going to be in this year's game. Now, the game comes out in October, and of course, the cover boy of it is Brock Lesnar. So each to their own, because I can say some nasty things about that decision, but whatever. But it's also, they've been naming some of the names, and of course, they've been releasing some of the names of the players or the superstars going to be on there. And of course, they've been giving some hints and a picture there online of who could be on there. I believe they named some names like the Usos, both Jimmy and Jay, the Von Villains, Simon Gotch, and Aiden English, the Ultimate Warrior, Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, and a couple other names they released here this week that are going to be in next year's game. Of course, we already know John Cena is going to be in the game, and they've announced Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. They've already named those superstars off. But each Tuesday they're going to be naming those. But there's a link down below in the description where you guys can go to on every Tuesday to see the roster reveal. Also, they're going to reveal some new stuff for the game. And it's pretty cool that this year they're adding this really cool feature on there where if you have face paint, your face paint, you put it on your superstar or whatever, and it looks really nice and everything when they're going down the ring and then get in the ring. But through the course of the match, you'll see that the paint will start wearing off, it'll smear and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, I'm like, that is so cool. Like, that is a little small detail that will really just, as small as that detail is, it will just make that game even better, make it more realistic. And I think that's so awesome that they added that into the game. And, for me, as a player, as a gamer that has played these WWE games for years, stepping back all the way back down to, Here Comes the Pain and all that kind of stuff, with the first SmackDown game and whatnot. I think that's so awesome. I mean, you've seen the evolution of these games being, every year, the small details happen out. Now, I will say, in past videos, I've made big deals about, you're taking, you put this in this year's game, but then the next year you take it out. It's like, what? Why are you taking stuff out? You should be adding stuff to it and improving those even more. Like this year, a lot of people are saying, hey, you have to bring back Story Designer. Story Designer is so crucial for a lot of people, especially if you're doing YouTube channels and you do colleagues. And there's some really good colleagues out there that do a really good, even with bare bones, graphics and stuff like that. And they put together some really good shows out there. You got shows like WEDF. Frank Dogg and all them over there, they do a great job. They have an NXT show now. You had New Movement Wrestling, which recently just put down. They just took down their videos. I don't know why, but they really did some really great stuff. They had it kind of felt like a old school WCW like Nitro Thunder kind of theme, feel to it and everything. I thought that was so cool. There's some new ones that I've recently followed, and actually I'll try to put a link down below to those ones down there that I've named already, or the ones I haven't named, the ones I follow. But you guys follow if you're a wrestling fan and you enjoy watching shows like this. Definitely check them out. There's so many of them out there I can't even name that do such a great job. Now commentary, it's here and there. Not everybody's good at doing commentary. There's times I screw up my commentary and stuff like that, but you get better over time. But they're just with the bare bones, or not so much. I mean, there's some guys that do some really great graphics and stuff like that, and that does help. That improves it, makes it the experience and enjoy of it more. But at the same time, just putting things together, putting the storylines together, putting characters, developing them, all that kind of stuff. There's so many great colleagues out there that do such a good job of doing all these different types of things, or more than those things. That really truly, it's an art. It's a really good art. And now the colleagues some colleagues are kind of now defunking because people are they got real life stuff going on for themselves and stuff like that. And but yeah, they're awesome. But if you ever get a chance to watch them, definitely check them out. Like I said, I'll leave a link down below for you guys to check those out and whatnot. But yeah, WWE 2K17's roster is going to be revealed every Tuesday here And I think at SummerSlam there's going to be even more of an announcement of more gameplay. I think they'll be releasing what the showcase will be this year. It's going to either be a Brock Lesnar themed, or it might be a Goldberg theme type of showcase. This last year's showcase was really cool, and the year before was really cool. I'm not really much of a big fan of those, but of course, this last year, I here on the channel I've had, and I haven't even finished it yet. I need to go back and finish it. But the WWE showcase with the Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the year before you had the showcases of the rivals, John Cena versus CM Punk and all that kind of stuff. It was really cool. It's a really cool feature. But I really think nowadays people want something that is close to life, a simulation. So like a GM mode, especially now with the Raw, SmackDown roster split. I think people want to see that. They want that back in the game. They wanted it back even when there wasn't this brand split that we have, of course, now. Because it makes it fun, it makes it exciting, it makes it real life. And if these games are supposed to be simulations of what you see on the shows, that they need to really push that even more here, especially in this new next generation of systems like the Xbox 360 or Xbox One and the PS4, and even with the first generation of these new consoles, the Xbox 360 and the PS3. They really need to push that and really play that on that part of simulation, getting as close to realism as you can. Having that, really, they really need to really do a better job with the WWE Universe and implement the storyline element to it, and also the general manager element to it, where you run a show, you have superstars, and you try to create your storylines and all that kind of stuff. And I'm hoping they'll push that even more here with the universe mode be even better next in this next game here coming up. Also, too, before we finish up with wrestling news, it was just also announced that WWE Hall of Fame, or soon-to-be Hall of Famer, or no, he's a Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer Booker T. Well, no, he'll be soon. Yeah, soon, he will be. Anyway, Booker T has officially announced that he is going to retire. He's no longer going to be an active competitor. If you guys don't know and don't follow him on Facebook or Twitter, he's been doing some semi-pro wrestling here, but it's been for his own one there in Texas. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but he has his own little wrestling league, or its own little wrestling company. Him and his brother do there in Houston. It's a really good show. I can't think of the name. The name escapes me now. But he does. So he was doing some stuff there at House of Hardcore for Tommy Dreamer while there. But he has a really good show. I've seen on they show, I think, there locally, but it is also on YouTube. You can check it out. I'll try to put a link down there below for you guys to check that out. But yeah, there is it's a really cool it's a really cool show that he puts together and stuff like that. But anyway, he's retiring. Of course, him and his brother, tag team, multiple tag team champions for WCW. They were the name Harlem Heat. Great tag team. One of my favorite tag teams growing up as a kid, especially as a young black kid. Seeing these guys do all this type of stuff, and I was so proud and so excited seeing him be, of course, former United States champion for WCW and former World Heavyweight Champion in WCW, and that really just got to me. Just like, yes, finally, got a brother representing us there in the top spot in the company. So it was really cool to see that, and he's well deserved. I mean, you've never heard bad things about him in the locker room or anything like that. At least I've never have or anything. And he seemed like he's a really good coach. He's done Tough Enough, and I believe he was there at NXT down there working with those young guys, working with people like Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins, all those, Wade Barrett, all those when they were coming up through the NXT system down there in Full Sail. So yeah, big ups to him, and congrats to him on his great career. And if I'm trying to say, I want to say he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. Someone might correct me or not, but if he has not been in the Hall of Fame, he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. If he is in the Hall of Fame, well, congratulations to him on the career he's had. But yeah, he definitely needs to be in the Hall of Fame for sure. Him and his brother, both as him for a singles competitor. Booker T needed to be in there for both for a tag team and singles competitor. And they're with his brother too, with Stevie Ray. So, or actually, I think it might be his cousin. I think they're cousins, but their story I think was their brothers. So, but yeah, so that is it for the world of wrestling. Now let's get into the soapbox of the week, and I'm gonna get on my soapbox about this because this really, excuse my German, but really pisses me off about what is going on in college football. Yeah, another controversy in college football. No surprise there. All right. So this past week, of course, it's a lot of college conferences are having their media days. Basically, they come in and talk about reporters. They have these reporters all come in one place, and reporters ask different teams, coaches, players about what their expectations are for the season. Of course, there's these preseason polls which don't really matter because you might as well look at those and like rip them up, shred them, whatever, and throw them out the window because we play football on the field. We don't play it through paper. So you got you got media outlets asking some really good questions, and then of course you got some ones asking as always some really ridiculous ones. But there is one story going around here right now, and we don't know if it's true or not. But it is being talked about quite a bit here in NCAA football, and that is about Coach Nick Saban. Nick Saban is in the news here because recently here at a recent SEC event this past last Sunday in a news conference, Nick Saban, of course the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, they were talking to him about his season and what he's expected for his team, and possibly, of course, going back to the national championship again. He talks about the challenges that they're going to have and what their weaknesses and what their strengths are going to be for getting another SEC title and eventually possibly get another national title. But Nick Saban has been in some controversy here on the issue of Marion Smith. Marion Smith is a former, or actually a current player who is a grad student there at, was a student at Alabama, but is now in graduate school. And he wants to transfer schools and go to the University, I believe, of Georgia, there in Athens. But there's a problem. Nick Saban does not want to give up or does not want to grant transfer privilege to the young man. Now, the young man has already been accepted to Georgia as a grad in their grad school already, and he wants to transfer there. Of course, he is from that area, and so he wants to go back home. And of course, Mr. Smith's mother, just like any good mother, wants to know why is my son being forced to stay at Alabama, and a lot of people are saying that Nick, she believes that Nick Saban is the one is blocking her son from transferring out, and he does not like this at all. The young man, of course, has been said in many interviews saying that he got accepted to grad school. He still has about a year of eligibility to play football, and he has time to do both. He has time to go to school and play football, but he wants to play for Georgia. And Nick Saban says, no, I'm not granting you that. Now, it's also being said that it's a rule that he cannot transfer one from one school to another. Now, to me, if he still has eligibility, especially if he has not played, if he still has eligibility, they're obviously saying that he was at one point he was redshirted, either as a medical redshirt or just there was too many guys ahead of him. So they said, you know what, hey, we're going to go ahead and redshirt you and keep your eligibility. So when, we get these guys graduated or they either graduate or go to the NFL, there'll be a position for you. You're pretty much guaranteed a spot. Not guaranteed playing time, but you're guaranteed a spot on the team. Because you can be medical redshirt as many times, but you can only be redshirt once. So that's what I'm sure the young man thought that was going to be the case, and eventually, being in Alabama, you got guys coming in who are coming in as freshmen who probably are going to be starting freshmen. Some maybe not most, but most anything. There's guys coming in. There was, got a lot of guys ahead of him because they recruit like crazy. Also, too, you got the guys that are coming in from transfer from other schools who have pretty much they've already redshirted somewhere. So when they transfer to Alabama, and especially if they've got good numbers and all that type of stuff, they're going to go ahead of him. Which sucks, but that's I've seen that happen to a lot of guys. When I was in school, even on the Division II level, it was just guys that were doing so well and that were big deals in Division II and couldn't get to a Division I school, or guys actually were big deals in JUCO that wanted to go to a Division I school or Division II school. A lot of coaches are like, hey, this guy's, I've been, especially I've been looking at these guys since junior high. Hey, we got him. I got to go ahead and start him. As soon as he gets out of JUCO, we're going to put him on the field. And that happens. I mean, it sucks. I've seen a lot of guys that were there for, even their senior year, they couldn't play. They had to be redshirted. They might got to be able to dress, but they didn't actually get on the field until their senior year, and all of a sudden you got this guy from JUCO coming out of nowhere who's just a monster on the field, and they're telling him, "Yep, sorry, you're gonna have to sit out." We'll you can play after you graduate. And you hear a lot of those guys like, seriously, like I'm not gonna but I'm not gonna play. After I graduate, this is it. Especially if I don't have plans on going to grad school. And some of those guys do decide to go to grad school just the simple fact so they can play. Play on that team. At least one game. It's a big deal. But anyway, this young man, I feel so bad for him that that this is happening to him, and Nick Saban, and not just Nick Saban, but SEC won't let this young man just transfer. Now, to me, if he still has eligibility and he is not playing on the field, why is there any harm for him to transfer to another school without any issues? The young man has not played on the field, so he, if anything, he's been on a scout team, on the practice squad. There's no problem of him. There should be no problem for him to go to another school. He's playing he's playing as Georgia. He just wants to be able to play. Say he's played a part of a college football team. And at least from what I'm reading into this and what I'm hearing, it sounds like this young man has not been on the field yet. And this is what, like I said, this really makes me mad. Now I can understand it if he was, a young guy and whatnot, if he was a big deal, so on and so forth. But still, why are there so many rules and constraints on these so-called student athletes, you call them, and they got to jump through hoops just to play, and then you don't play them, and it's like they wasted 4 years, of not being able to play the sport they were there for. Now, hence, yes, they did get somewhat of a free education, and they'll say it's a free education, but a lot of times it's not. I mean, there's some kind of out of pocket that comes into this. They got to pay something. But if you're there to play on the University of wherever, you want to be able to have that, even if it's just for one play. It kind of reminds me now of now I'm kind of got the image of Rudy, getting on the field for the first time. And I think he only got on the field for one play, and that was it. That's for a lot of these guys. That's the reason why they went to school. Other than that, if they were not able to play football for the school they love, that they've dreamed about playing for, they wouldn't have gone. They would have still been back home, working at a local business or something, or in the service or something, and just living off, just remembering about their memories of playing high school football. And to me, I know people say, oh, they're student athletes. We shouldn't. Yeah, they're student athletes, but at the same time, you got to think these guys are coming. A lot of these guys are going halfway across the other side of the country just to play football. To play football. A lot of them just to play football. Just get their foot in the door, play football, play well enough so they can get their foot in the door to go in the NFL. Let's be honest about it. Two and done. Just 2 years and get into the NFL. A lot of those, and then of course a lot of those guys, there's a small percentage, not even 1% make it to the NFL. For the ones that do make it to the NFL, they get lucky. That's luck. The ones that don't, they have to go back home. They got to go, especially they didn't graduate. A lot of them have to stay an extra year to finish up their studies, and a lot of them don't even do that. A lot of them just decide to drop out. I don't understand why why is there not more penalties on coaches if they coach a season somewhere and then turn around, they don't honor the contract and go throughout the whole contract and say they sign a 3-year contract and they only do 1 year and they get another job offer somewhere else. Why are they not penalized, saying, hey, you got a 3-year contract with this school, you've only done 1 year of that contract, you need to sit out for 2 seasons. I don't see why they don't do that. There needs to be some kind of penalization on the coaches. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that. I might put up a poll question or something like that on here. What do you guys think about that? But to me, there should be some kind of penalty for those coaches that do that. We've had coaches that have done that here just recently. Lane Kiffin, he did that at Tennessee. Oh, this is the school that I've always dreamed of, coaching for. And as soon as the University of Southern California job was up for grabs because of the controversy that was going on with them, with Reggie Bush, and the head coach there, of course, he left to go to the NFL. Lane Kiffin said, "Oh, sorry guys, gotta go," and left. It left them high and dry. Now you realize all those kids who looked up to you because they seen you in the NFL, because he was a former assistant coach in the NFL for different teams. You would think he would be honored. There's some kind of honor of hey, I'm recruiting these guys coming in. I'm gonna stick around and have them at least stay there for that year, and then I'm gonna try to ease them into another coach, and then I can go somewhere else. They don't even do that. They literally leave overnight and just, I'm out. And here you got all these kids now, and that looks bad for them. And then you turn around and look at the school, and you see there, because I can't remember what school it was, but there was quite a few kids that were wanting to go to a school where this coach was playing at, and as soon as that coach up and left, they started withdrawing their scholarships. Like, no, we're not going. Some schools wouldn't even let the kids withdraw their scholarships, and they got stuck. They were pretty much stuck there. They signed that contract saying, yes, I'm going to play here, on signing day, and then within a week or two, that coach left, and there you are. Those kids are stuck because they already signed that contract to their school. You made a commitment here. You guys got to stick with it. And now I don't know if they can get out of these contracts or not. I've heard people say, yeah, they can, that they have to go through those legal stuff. Then there's some say no, they can't. It's a binding contract. They have to stick with it. Why are we don't hold these coaches more accountable for that? Because if Coach A is that I want to play for is going to be there, and then turn around he leaves, I don't want to be there for Coach B. Because Coach B, if I know who he is, especially if he's a well-known name, he might be a total, excuse my German again, a dick, and I don't want to be there. Why do I have to be here when I really want to play for this guy? And there's been a lot of news here of guys leaving programs just in that same kind of scenario, saying, hey, this guy, I sign a contract to play here with you guys, a scholarship contract, saying that I'm going to sign with you guys, and honestly, let's go back to the contract. When I keep saying this, I'm like, I should be saying scholarship, but it's a contract between you and the university, and you need to honor it. But yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous of how these coaches do that and they can get away with it and not be penalized whatsoever. And with this issue with Nick Saban and stuff like that, to me, Nick Saban should go to SEC, go out of his way and saying, hey, you know what, this young man, he's a good young man, he's a good guy, all this and that, and plead with the SEC if it is them to say, hey, you know what, let him transfer without being penalized, not have to sit out a year, so he can play, if this is the only season he gets to play football, let that happen. Let him go to Georgia and play. Now, as far as I know, there's no issues of him being mistreated by the coaching staff or mistreated by Nick Saban or anything. It's just that he went to Alabama. He spent his 4 years there. He still has some time to play football, and he wants to now transfer. He's got a scholarship or got a chance to go to this really good grad school program there in Georgia. So I don't see what the issue is. That just do what's right and let him. And the right thing is to give him the transfer so he can transfer out and he can play for Georgia and he can go to school down there in Georgia, because maybe this is a program this is the only program he knows that he's fell in love with and he wants to go to, that has everything he wants. And Alabama may not have that program, or if they had that program, it's not what he wants, not what he's it might be a totally different program than what he was actually looking for. And I hope this issue gets cleared up and whatnot. But again, I left the link down below. You can check it out. It's from CBS Sports. It's a really good interesting article. It doesn't go into about what I was just talking about, but to me, I mean, they need to look into that. I mean, there has to be a reason why. There has to be. I don't understand why this has to happen to so much of a player when we don't hear like this about a coach struggling to get a job, at another university. It seems like these coaches get these jobs just a snap of a finger. As soon as they leave one job or quit another job or get forced out of a job, next thing you know it, there you go. They got another job. No problem. No questions asked. Everything's swept underneath the rug. And I just don't get it. I don't get it. I mean that's how the world works, I guess. But at the same time, it's just a crying shame that, the of all people get penalized for this, and he wants to, do something with his life, is the student. It sounds like a well-rounded guy. Going to grad school. I know a few people that went to grad school and stuff like that, but. Most kids, they want to do want to get a college. They want to get a college education, and they only want to do it for 4 years, unless you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. So, yeah. All right. Well, if you heard that weird sound, that was my computer making a noise saying, "Hey, you need to charge me." So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up before it shuts down. But that is it for this week here. Like I said, I don't know when this podcast is going to come up, but we're going to try to have the podcast back on its regular schedule next Saturday. So stay in tune for that. But that is it for this week. If you guys if there's anything you guys want me to talk about more in depth or anything like that, let me know down below in the description. And if there's an article you guys want me to read, leave a link down there also too to it so I can go and check it out. And maybe if it's interesting enough for me to talk about, I'll go ahead and I'll chat about it. But that is it for this week here on ESGNet's Sports Gamers Soapbox Podcast Talk. That is it for me, you guys. Episode 15. I can't believe we're 15 episodes in, and I feel really good about this. So thank you guys for listening and checking us out. That is it for me, you guys. Again, if you enjoyed the podcast, leave a like. Also, don't forget to hit that subscription button for more of this podcast and other series here on the channel. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. The links are down below in the description. Check us out there, and you guys follow us there to get the latest news and information on whatever's going on in sports, sports gaming, and sports in general here on the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching, or for listening, I should say. And as always, keep yourselves healthy, and I will see you guys next time.